Hi everyone. I'm really happy to join you all in the second video in the series. Today we are going to discuss about a very essential, nutrient or an ingredient in our life, water. So this is in view of the World Environment Day. And to discuss about water, along with me, we have Dr. Sangeeta from Hyderabad, who is also one of the supporting doctors of Vaishnavi Trust. Hello, doctor.
Hello, Namaste.
So, Dr. Sangeeta, if you could give us all a quick introduction about yourself, I think that will be helpful.
Yeah, I'm Dr. Sangeeta Sharma. I'm MD, PhD in Panchakarma, one of the branch of Ayurveda. And presently, I'm working as a research officer for Vaishnav Welfare and Charitable Trust. And along with that, I'm having my own clinic in Hyderabad by associate name as Guna Ayurveda. And I'm a Panchakarma consultant.
Thank you, Doctor. So, thanks for joining us today. When we say water, right, so that becomes one of the most essential food or intake or ingredient to our lives. So, what do you think is the most important property of water that makes it essential for our livelihood?
The water is elixir of life. It's called nectar. And according to Ayurveda, as we call with the terminology as Jala Mahabhuta, we are made of Pancha Mahabhutas, and so is the nature. So there's a term called Yat Pindam Tad Brahmanda. So what is there in our body is there in the nature. So water is a very important component both in the nature and also in the body, and it compromises of around 70% of our body. 55 to 78% of our body is water. So that itself shows its importance. Along with that, I'll just give some points like 95% of our brain is water. 92% of our lungs is water. So this itself shows that how important is water for our body.
Okay.
And
So,
added to that, what I would say is our body has got blood. So the main component plasma of the blood is water. Cytoplasm is having maximum water. Our serums in the body is water. So when we speak in medical language, complete physiology of our body is run by water in one or the other way.
okay. So, it was a new information for me today that, most of our brain is comprised of water, right? So I never knew that. I have heard that, most part of the body in general is made of water, but, brain is something new that I'm learning today. And talking about the importance of water, right? So I would like to bring in this question as Vaishnavi Trust works mostly with children. So what is the role of water in child development?
See, when we call it as it's an important component, it is necessary for everyone and more important for kids because the problem is today's kids, this generation kids, they don't drink water. The problem is they don't know what is thirst. They are not able to actually assess what is thirst. And somewhere we are also responsible for that, being parents in that. Importance of water in child development is suppose if we have a little bit of dehydration, the indication is even just 2% of water decline in the body leads to dehydration. And the symptoms are like irritability, fatigue, weakness, lethargy, loss of memory. So, as I am telling that brain is 95% water, so the development of the brain and also the other organs and the behavioral function of our body depends upon water. So the kids should have appropriate quantity of water as and when needed to their body, and they should know that it is important because in the early childhood what happens is they are busy in whatever work they are doing, engaged, they don't feel thirst, they don't feel hunger. So as parents it's our responsibility to, as in when needed, we have to give them water to actually their body should analyze and realize that okay, this is the time I should drink. And as I'm telling that it is an important aspect in their brain development, in their tissue development, in their organ development. So we need water. Simple thing, maximum kids suffer with constipation. And this, the doctor, I mean, parents keep on moving from doctor to doctor, telling that our kid is having constipation or burning micturition, urine. They have this burning sensation in urine. The simple thing is they don't have appropriate intake of water. The only one small correction in the lifestyle can really change their digestive metabolism.
Okay, so one is brain development, and in general, I could put it as organ development, and the second most important thing, constipation, and its connection to the digestive system. Um, okay, so when we speak of childrens, and now how about for teenagers or adults? So do you see any difference in the importance?
Yeah, today the burning issue is actually what happens is we think that when we are thirsty, we can take cold drink, we can take any aerated drink, we can take chilled water, coffee, beer, anything. But that is not the substitute for water. And what happens is in the long run, our body will forget what is thirst. What is thirst, body will forget it. And what happens, slowly the toxins get accumulated in the vital organs in the body, and it will lead to maximum pathologies, leading to brain dysfunctions, kidney failures, obesity, even obesity, and so many other things, because we think that we are replacing water with other drinks. But water is water, it has to be satisfied. And more important thing these days, due to corporate culture, we are all in ACs, so we don't get sweat. So we don't realize that we are thirsty. We don't drink water as when needed along, because the temperature is controlled. It is not regulated. And water plays important role in the regulation of body temperature. That we are doing automatically with some device. And so our body is not knowing that, okay, we need to have water. But its demand is there inside the body. And it's slowly depriving the functions inside the body. Simple thing. What happens is when we are dehydrated, we have simple symptoms like fatigue, lethargy, weakness, irritability, even memory loss. Even small arithmetic solutions will not be able to do. Simple calculations of maths. Suppose if someone is discussing something with us, we are not able to do. And we think that we are going up in something different. But no, it's only the loss of water in the body. And that we are not realizing, and we are facing so many complications. And being a doctor, I see many corporate patients coming to me suffering with urinary calculus. They have this urinary stones because they don't have proper intake of water, because the atmosphere they are sitting in, they don't feel thirsty, and that's leading to all these complications in the body.
So when you said, when you said about dehydration, urinary infection, and other stuff, right? Today, most of the youngsters, at least in their 20s and 30s, they have one, psychological feeling that I could say, if I take more water, I'll have to, frequently use the, lavatories, and that could, you know, kind of be uncomfortable. So how do you want to address such mindset?
See, actually, this itself is a big issue. Overhydration, dehydration, and proper hydration. Overhydration is more dangerous even than dehydration. And this has been proved by so many international journals also. We have to drink water according to the thirst of our body, not that we have this media propagation or so many WhatsApp messages coming up all the time that you drink 2 glasses before going to bed, after this, after that. So totally you have to drink 10 to 12 glasses of water. No. Water intake depends upon the thirst of the body, but not on your calculation. And it's specific for person to person. Appropriate water intake depends upon your prakriti, the place you are living, and the season you are in, even the timing of the day, even your food timing. There's so many things which decide how much water you have to take. So I'll just give you a quick reference that overhydration, marathon runners are there. So the study was done on them, and it has been proved that 1/6 of the marathon runners in the world are facing a problem of hyponatremia. That is a problem due to over drinking of water that leads to liquefying of the blood. Blood viscosity, I mean the blood, the how much it should be maintained density, it will be becoming more liquid, and it leads to as complicatory symptoms as brain damage, seizures. coma. And so many marathon runners have lost their life due to over drinking of food. So even anxiety, depression, your heaviness in the body, and abdominal flatulence, these are all due to overhydration, over drinking of water. So your water intake depends upon your body specific, and you have to read your body. It may take 1 or 2 days to understand that when I need water and how much I need water. But rather than just because people told us we have to drink water, we keep on drinking water. That itself is a big disease.
So that's a bit scary. uh,
Yeah, it's
you know, at least for me, right? So when I feel thirsty, I at least drink half a liter of water at once. So that's the way I consume. So now this message of overhydration, right, uh, comes to the next question. Like, is there a limit? So how do we understand that limit of intake?
yeah. See, we are individual specific. We are not like okay, we can be put in one shell. We are person to person different. Our prakriti is different. Our body need is different. So thirsty, you are feeling thirsty. So when you are feeling thirsty, you'll have certain symptoms or certain representations of your body. Your throat will be getting dried up. Your lips will be getting dried up. You'll feel like fatigued. So that is a representation that you need water. But there is no specific calculation anywhere that this is the quantity of water intake you should do per day. No, that is a myth. And it has to be cleared. And even the World Marathon Association has now put a big statement that drink when you are thirsty. But not that because you are a runner, you can drink whole lot of water. It applies to all the individuals, all the people, all the age groups. Even over intake of water leads to liver disorders, leads to certain, even ascites. Ascites is a very big disease, but in due course of time, what happens is when we drink excess of water, it leads to uh, our digestion fire, or what we call agni, it gets deprived. And so what happens? Our digestion is not proper, so our metabolism not proper, so our absorption is not proper. So it's a vicious cycle leading to lots of hepatological problems, and also even it leads to swelling in the body and on what not. If you are going into excessive intake of water without knowing that what is the need of your body. And okay, I'll just bit clearer that it's like a question mark again in your brain that what is the quantity? How will I know? So except for summer season and for autumn season, these are two seasons where our intake of water will be more because our outing or our water which is excreted from the body is also more through sweat or through any other thing. But apart from this, the other seasons, our water intake is very, very minimal. We don't need to drink 8 to 10 glasses or 20 glasses.
Okay, so now the next question that comes up to my mind when we talk about marathon runners and people, right? Whenever we do some kind of a physical exercise, be it cycling or running or walking, we feel that our throats are dry and we intend to drink water. But people, at that point in time, they suggest not to drink water, and they want us to give a pause and then consume water so that our throat is not infected. Is that a myth or is that a fact?
No, it is a fact. What happens is when you're doing physical exertion, your body temperature is increased. You are sweating profusely whenever you are running or doing exercise or anything. So when you take water, and normally when you are thirsty, you'll prefer cold water, right? So
Correct.
your body temperature is on higher edge, and you are taking a gulp of lots of cold water. So suddenly your temperature, body temperature is declining. So something you are doing, wrong calculation with the body is happening inside. That leads to the sore throat. So we have to wait for a while. Let our sweat get dried. It can take 1 or 2 minutes or 5 minutes, and then we can drink. So we
Okay.
have to take care. And not chilled
Okay.
water. We can
Right.
drink cold water, not chilled water. There is difference.
Uh, so for a common man like me, I'm really confused with the terms that you just used. Chilled water versus cold water, right? Can you just elaborate more on that, please?
Chilled water is very chilled, which you are taking out of the refrigerator and just having it, gulping. Earthen pot water is a cold water. Even in the refrigerator also, the water kept at optimal temperature is cold. But our youngsters and even our generation, whomsoever we see now in summers, they drink whole lot of chilled water. They say that the more we will drink it, our thirst will be relieved. But it's like a normal water which is a bit colder than the normal temperature is colder. That is
Okay.
good for the body, but not the chilled water.
Okay. So when we are speaking about the different temperatures, so people say that it is good to prefer hot water uh, against cold water or chilled water. So this is a new term that I'll have to get added, right? So how do you see that medically?
The differentiation is it's not that every one of us are fit for hot water, and it's not that every one of us are fit for cold water. I again repeat sentence that depends upon the place you are living. Suppose if you are in Kerala, you should drink warm water. The climate there is like that. Because it's like sometimes it's heavy rains, suddenly it will be warm, suddenly again heavy rains, lots of monsoons there. Suppose I stay in Rajasthan, if I drink hot water, it will lead to some other complications in summers. But if it is a winter season, I should prefer warm water. But if you want me to give a generalized statement that what is good for the body, so warm water is preferably good than cold water. It's not hot; it should be warm. But it depends upon the season you are in, the climate you are in, and also the place you are living in. So suppose if it is like Kashmir, it's very cold place there. So those people they prefer to drink the whole day hot water because that is the requirement for their body to regulate their body temperature. But if we are in some hot areas and in summer season, we cannot drink hot. So it depends upon seasons. It's not like we cannot specify that someone says that I'm drinking only hot water. No, I should not drink cold. No. Your requirement according to the temperature outside is also important for the deciding factor to whether you have to drink cold water or hot. Suppose if you drink warm water, what are the benefits? It eases your digestion, it relieves the flatulence, it relieves the indigestion in the body, it regulates the urinary balance or the purification of the urine in the body. So warm water is preferably good than cold.
Okay, so it is not just generic statement that we should prefer hot water or cold water, but it depends on various factors like the environment that we are in and the condition of our body. That makes a lot of sense. And there's another common thought among people that when relocate myself from one place to another. Let's say I'm going to my native for vacation, and there's definitely a change in the properties of water from location to location. So that causes a throat infection. So this is a common thought in most of us, and in such cases, we tend to prefer boiled water or mineral water and keep moving. Especially for international travelers, this has become a very common practice these days. So how do you see that?
So yes, of course, when we are moving from one place to another, the properties of water change. The solvents which are dissolved in the water are different, the different salts in the body. And but now I think it's not a problem because everywhere it's RO water. Hardly we drink bore water or well water. It's the RO water, so it is everywhere the TDS is the thing which is deciding the salts in the water, and so much difference is not there. But definitely there will be a property change in the water, and so it is causing because our body is used to certain specific quality or property of water in the body.
Right.
So when property changes, definitely it will react, and it is an immune response of the body. So it is limiting to the throat being disturbed. So the body itself is fighting. It is a mechanism of the body that okay, this is a thing which is something extra or something different coming inside, so I should fight it. So yes, of course, when we change the place, that definitely brings the difference. But uh, there could be one solution for this. If you heat the water, boil the water, and reduce, and again bring it to the normal temperature and drink it, this problem can be solved.
Okay. So we'll have to boil it and then bring it back to room temperature and then consume.
You can.
Okay.
Because it makes the water lighter. So
Okay.
it will be easy to digest.
Yes, and when you were speaking, you rightly said these days it is very rare to find a natural source of water or the groundwater as we speak. Uh, Most of us are moving towards RO or mineral water, right? So how do you see that?
See, when it comes to RO, all of us are dependent on RO water because we say that there are so many impurities in the water and so they'll be getting purified. Then again, there are so many myths on that it's also taking out all the minerals which are present in the water and we need it. So WHO has prescribed certain range for the TDS that okay, if it is like below 300, TDS is good. Above 600 is bad. So accordingly, that's the WHO classification, and we can follow it. But when it comes to mineral water, because they say that mineral water which is stored in the bottles are taken from the natural sources, and it contains all the minerals in that. That bottle storage itself is again a question mark, because when we are storing water in a plastic container or a plastic bottle for longer duration, because it's not that I'm getting the bottle now so it is stored now, it is somewhere some months back or some 15 days back it is stored in that bottle. So the properties of the water are again deteriorated because of presence of that plastic component also along with the water. So according to my opinion, going towards drinking mineral water so that we'll get some minerals in the body, it's not preferable. It's better to drink the water where you are. You can apply so many things for that purification aspect. It could be boiling and cooling it, or boiling it exactly at 100 degrees temperature and cooling it. That itself also purifies the.
Yeah, that I think we've got most of the answers there, and for my next question as well. So I was about to ask you about the storage of water, right? And you said plastic containers. It is better to avoid because of the various controversies that are in place. Yes, that is agreed. Now coming to the next thing, right? So when we talk about storage, today people are talking more about rainwater harvesting, utilizing rainwater for our domestic purposes. So how do you see the consumption of rainwater, uh, you know, uh, as a replacement to drinking water? How do you see that?
That is the best choice. We can do it as a rainwater harvesting is because in our classes in Ayurveda also we said that rainwater is the best water to consume, provided it is not pollute. So if suppose I'm living in a village atmosphere where there are no other added pollutants in the air and the rain which is falling is very pure, so that rainwater harvester will definitely give me nourishment, or that is the best water. But if suppose I'm in an industrial area surrounded with so many industries, so if I'll do that water harvesting, definitely my floor will be having lots of soot material, lots of chemicals in the atmosphere also. So then it's again a question mark that if that water has to be harvested, again now there are so many engineering techniques or technology has been improved that they are telling that if we do it when we are harvesting it, so when we are storing, but telling that we are running it in 3 different compartments or 4 different compartments, so that is definitely bringing, I mean solidifying the other contents down, and the purer form or the good form of water is coming out. But when it comes to the chemical constituents added to the water, when it is actually raining in the atmosphere itself, that is again a question. So that rainwater harvesting for drinking purpose is also depends upon the place where I'm living. If I'm really in a very polluted place surrounded by so many industries, then I think the rainwater harvested, it can be used for so many other purposes. When it comes to drinking, I have again to put it into the RO for the purification I have to do.
So it is like the quality of water that we harvest basically. Uh, right. So the next question, right? So there are many of my friends, if I should quote, most of my friends from Kerala, right? So they consume this water which they would have mixed with cumin seeds, the jeera or siragam as we say. Right? So do you see any benefits in adding such components to water like cumin seeds, for example? few people add lemongrass, few even, lemon juice as such. So do you see any benefits of doing that?
Yeah, there are benefits. Like suppose specifically when I talk about Kerala, the problem there is because it is in my language, I will call it as Anupadesha because there is frequent rains are there. There are always scopes of water getting contaminated and water getting contaminated. So in Ayurveda also we have given certain herbs are given which will purify that water and also it will make the water lighter because the water will be a bit heavy. So like adding cumin seeds or even Kerala people add ushira. They call it as ushira kind of grass. They add to the water. It makes the water lighter, and if it is, it will be easily digested. It will not cause flatulence to them. Not abdominal discomfort will not be there. And even when it comes to certain diseases or certain uh, particular conditions where we need to add some herbs to the water and take it. But it's not for everyone that, okay, every one of us can add some cumin seeds or some dhania seeds or some haldi or something. But it is again person specific and disease specific. So,
Yes.
like you said rightly, that Kerala they need because that is the place. And even if I also go to Kerala, I have to drink that particular water
Right,
only because
right.
the properties of water there is so.
Okay, but it is not necessary to do that everywhere, right?
Yeah, not
So one last question that I would like to ask here is, uh, many of us, whenever we intend to urinate, we have a mindset seeing the color of the urine, right? If it is too yellowish, we say you are dehydrated, you will have to drink more water, and you know that's kind of a conversation that keeps built in the family. So is that a truth? What relationship does it have to that?
the normal color of the urine is yellow only. So if
Okay.
you think that you have to make your urine clear, that is overhydration.
Okay.
Normal color of the urine is yellow, but it is like concentrated urine. Suppose if the quantity of urine which is coming out is less, then it is a question that we need to take a bit of more liquids. It's not like yellow color of the urine is depicting that you need to take more water or you are dehydrated. There are certain symptoms of dehydration. You'll have lots of irritation, dizziness, weakness, lethargy, fatigue. You'll be falling down. You'll be like, brain will not be working properly, mental function will be disturbed. So itself will show that, okay, I'm going into dehydration. So the only thing is, again, I put on that point that we need to read our body, that which we are really lacking. We need to talk with our body. We need to assess it. So in a day or two or in a week, we'll really get to know that, okay, this is the need of my body. This much is required. Added to that, I would add one more, two more sentences that intake of food and water has got specific timings. Suppose when you're very thirsty, you should not eat. And when you're very hungry, you should not drink. It's a myth in the people that, okay, I'm really getting putting up on weight. So when I feel hungry, let me drink lots of water. That is causing lots of complications in the body. Your body needs what it needs and you have to give what it needs. It's not that you have to decide that whether it is needing water or it is needing food. Then one more thing, intake of water before food, after food. There are so many myths in the people. So should I take water before taking food so that I'll take little food? No. If you are taking water just before food, you are diminishing your immunity. Your digestive fire is getting decreased, and that will lead to improper digestion. So please don't take excess water just before the meals. In between the meals, you can take sips of water. After meals, immediately after meals, don't drink lots of food. It's better you give a break of half an hour to 40 minutes and then you drink a glass of water. So at least it will help in your digestion. And then again, it comes to the quantity of water. So it's like when you take food, you just divide your stomach or abdomen in four parts. So your quantity of food should be two parts, your water should be one part, and one fourth of it should be remain empty. So it just shows that when you are taking food, don't take excess of water. or immediately after food also don't take excess of food. Give a break, because our Agni in the body requires optimal Agni is needed to digest the food which you are taking. If you are taking whole lot of water, it will get deprived and it will lead to other complaints.
Yeah. So the first message that I take is, um, water consumption has to be, at a level that our body requires, and it is not that we'll have to drink, so many liters of water per day, or there's no min or max, but it depends on the necessity of the body. And you also said that there is no connection to the color of urine that we, have a general conversation, right? So that's broken down. And you also gave us, another important information on the amount of water versus the amount of food versus the amount of emptiness that is required for our digestive system. Uh, so I think this conversation right today was concentrated around water, but one firm thing that I could take out of it is, wherever there is a need, go for it. Else, don't. Right. So that I think is the key message, and I think everybody watching this video will really be benefited out of it. Uh, Thank you very much for your time, Doctor. And once again, thanks to Vaishnavi Trust for this opportunity.
Thank you very much. I'm also very much, now my knowledge is also being empowered that I could share so many myths that are there in the people's mind. And one more take home message, it looks like absurd to tell that you should not drink water in a standing posture. Suppose you're standing, don't drink water just like this. It leads to fluid retention in your joints, and your water which you have taken will not get digested and will lead to as major problems as arthritis. To sit calmly, take a glass of water, enjoy it, don't gulp it inside, sip by sip, breathe and take the water inside. Instead, you're feeling so much thirsty, went to the refrigerator, opened it, took a bottle and just completely gulped it inside. It went straight away without stopping in the stomach. Went straight away into the gut, no digestion, no absorption, nothing has happened, and it increased the fluid retention in the body. This is the last point which I really wanted to tell, because this is overlooked and people don't know actually that okay, this is also a problem. And I'm really thankful to Vaishnavi Trust for giving me this opportunity for a discussion on water. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, because I didn't know that the posture also had an impact to drinking water. So thanks for bringing that up and breaking that myth as well. Uh, Thank you very much, Doctor. Hope to see you in more such videos.